blamed for the deaths of more than 30 people. Brian Shook, NBC News Radio.
This segment is sponsored by Tammy Sutherland of Coldwell Banker Kivett Teeters Realty, where she makes it her business to put happy people in happy homes. It's Tammy Sutherland's passion to list your house and put you in just the right house that you could call home.
She made so much extra effort to sell our house and make sure that we understood every step of the way. Tammy always had our best interests at heart.
I didn't think we'd ever find a house we loved, but with Tammy's help, we did. Now I get to mow the lawn every weekend. But then again, that's why we had kids. Hey, Tyler!
Tammy did way more than we ever expected in a real estate agent. Without Tammy, we would still be renting.
So if you want your perfect house, contact Tammy Sutherland at Coldwell Banker Kivett Teeters Realty in Yucaipa, across from Yucaipa High School. Whether you're looking to buy or sell, it's homesbytammy.net or on Facebook at facebook.com/Realtor Tammy Sutherland at 909-556-2094 for Realtor Tammy Sutherland, and we thank her for her support.
Are you having trouble sleeping? Are you always tired and worn out? Is it affecting your work and personal life? Well, South Pacific Sleep Lab can help you out. South Pacific Sleep Lab provides a personal study of your sleep patterns. With their trained specialists, they will diagnose your sleep habits and will give you a prognosis for getting a great relaxing night of sleep. South Pacific Sleep Lab has locations throughout Southern California, including Fontana, and will provide transportation to any of their locations at no cost to you. To find out more, give them a call at 844-SAD-5050. That's 844-SAD-5050. South Pacific Sleep Lab. Start resting easy and sleeping sound today.
The Tri-City Shopping Center in Redlands is home to some of the best bargain shopping in the region. Cityware, Style for Less, and Dollar Tree, to name just a few. Friendly shop owners and staff are waiting for you to stop in for the many specials and bargains they're excited to share. The Tri-City Shopping Center is located just off I-10 between Alabama and the Tennessee exits in Redlands. Make it your home for all your shopping needs, and you'll know why the Tri-City Center is called the Mall with a Heart. If you're looking for a full or part-time sales position and you have radio, TV, or print media experience, KCAA has a great opportunity waiting for you that pays the highest commissions in the market. KCAA is the only station in the IE that broadcasts on 3 frequencies, so advertisers receive 3 ads for 1 low rate. This makes KCAA a must-buy for every local business. If you're interested in a sales position with us, email CEO@kcaaradio.com.
KCAA.
Are you ready for a new experience? To see life from another point of view? New hope, new expression, new joy. This is your radio hour. Welcome to Viewpoint with Father John.
And welcome, friends. You are tuned to KCAA Radio, 1050 AM, 102.3 FM, 106.5 FM, or on the World Wide Web at kcaaradio.com. This is Viewpoint with Father John, and I am your host, Father John Reed. By the way, you can follow this show on Facebook at Viewpoint with Father John, or you can also go to our website if you'd like to help support this program at www.viewpointwithfatherjohn.com. And you can click on the support button, because this is totally brought together by you. And so I thank you for your contributions and those who've already been helping to support this program. In tonight's show, we have a little problem with the news. The floods are just starting to come into North Carolina, and please keep these people in your prayers. The waters are going to keep rising for a little while now. I think people will get the idea once the hurricane's gone that the trouble is gone. Well, it's just started. And as the rivers overflow, these people are going to need a lot of help. And I'm not convinced that we're going to send the resources that they really need, particularly since $10 million of the money for FEMA was sent to ICE. And I just don't think that's a great idea. Also, if you're following anything in the news, you can see these hearings that are coming up with Dr. Ford. You know, I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. What's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. And I really think that the FBI needs to finish their investigation on the background for Judge Kavanaugh before we give him a lifetime appointment as a justice. You think we would learn from Clarence Thomas the mistakes that were made there, but here we are all this time later, and history repeats itself. And, there's an old expression where I come from, unless you learn your lesson from the experience, you must re-experience the lesson, but when history repeats itself, the price goes up. And the price is pretty high this time. We're in a place where we really need to start respecting women and realizing they are equal people, they're deserving of respect, and we should treat them with the respect that they have coming. Having said that, as you know, what the show is about, that all of God's children are endowed with extraordinary purpose and ability. And I am on a quest to help as many as possible in fully realizing their divinely inspired potential. Disposing of false narrative and embracing genuineness inspires clarity of purpose. My role is to help overcome self-imposed limitations in realizing one's spiritual potential. And so having said that, I have a guest tonight. Her name is Shamin Smith. Actually, her given name, or the name she's known by, is Eslynne. I hope I'm saying that right. Am I getting that even close to your name?
You did. You did fantastic. Thank you so much. Actually, my given name is Shamin, but I self-published my book under Eslynne.
Okay. And her book is Taming the... do you say it Taida? It's a Hawaiian word.
Tida.
Tida. Okay.
Tida. Taming the Tida.
When you're a priest, you try to stay away from words like that because it can really get misunderstood.
Well, the Hawaiian language is a beautiful. Hawaii is a beautiful place to visit. It's a difficult place to live, and the Hawaiian language is a wonderful language. But a lot of language in Hawaii is broken language because it really is a melting pot. There's so many different. Everybody goes to Hawaii. Every nationality ends up in Hawaii. It doesn't matter what shore you came from that washes up on Hawaii. And people want to communicate with each other, so they find unique ways to do it. And there's a lot of different broken languages that kind of melt together in Hawaiian. It's pretty special.
Well, I have to give a little confession here, because when I was finishing my bachelor's degree, a friend took me on an all-expense 3-day trip to Waikiki Beach. Now, that's the one and only time I've been to Hawaii, and I love the place. The only reason I haven't gotten back is purely financial and time given. But while I was there, I was going down to the beach. Now, I will admit I'm so white that some people might mistake me for an albino. But a couple ladies asked if I knew how to swim. Why they asked that, I have no idea, but I said I do. And I continued into the water, and I started swimming in some of the most beautiful water I've ever seen. And I got about 150 feet out, and I ran into a sandbar, literally. And so I climbed up on the sandbar, and I'm looking to see how far this thing goes. So I start walking on it. Well, it's just about an inch below the surface of the water, so it looks like I'm walking on the water. And I don't think about that until I look back, and there's those two ladies who asked if I knew how to swim, looking at me with just amazement. So being the typical Irishman that I am, I walked back and forth a couple of times like I was in deep thought, came back in, and I kid you not, when I came up on the sand, they're bowing to me saying, "Messiah, Messiah." So I blessed them as I went by. I would have given anything to have been in their church the following Sunday to hear their testimony about the blonde-haired Messiah. Jesus came back and he has blonde red hair. And that's probably why I had to go into the priesthood to make up for that stuff. Now, you're a survivor of abuse.
I am.
And
I'm
quite deep abuse, and I share that with you. My listeners know that I came up in a lot of that. In fact, some people think I'm joking when I say this. I'm not. I'm being very serious. When I said when my siblings and I saw the movie Mommy Dearest, that we said that was lightweight compared to what we went through. And
really?
Yeah, seriously. And we always had to wear long sleeve shirts to cover up all the bruises, cuts, and scars. So I really do get some of that. And so I understand that you suffer from sexual abuse and really some deep traumatic stuff. Would you be willing to share some of that with us and what your recovery from that has been like?
Sure. I'm an adult survivor of childhood sexual abuse. It's easy to say that I came from the worst of the worst homes. My parents were violent, abusive, alcoholic pedophiles. My mother was a unique person in her own right. Everybody is, but she was very proud of being a pro with a coat hanger. She had terminated multiple pregnancies. And I hear it on the news all the time now with the abortion debate that coat hanger pregnancies will come back. And I don't think people really understand that they are a real thing. And it's part of my life that I have been dealing with for as long as I can remember. My mother insisted that there was something wrong with me because she had tried to terminate my pregnancy multiple times and was unsuccessful. And she knew what she was doing. She had done it many times before, and not all just for herself. So she tried to terminate my pregnancy several times, was unsuccessful. Right. It was 1975. Abortion was rare but legal, and she got medical authorization from a military hospital to be given a medical abortion, and got stuck in a freak traffic jam and missed her appointment, and the doctors refused to reschedule. Wow. They felt like whatever prevented her from making her appointment was important enough for them not to schedule again. She tried to continue to terminate my pregnancy unsuccessfully. I am pro-choice because I know what it is like to be born to a mother that doesn't want you and a father who wants you for all the wrong reasons. She told me throughout my whole life that she knew there was something wrong with me. That it took me until recently to realize that there's absolutely nothing wrong with me. And it was never a case of I wasn't supposed to be here. It was always a case of I belong here and I'm here for a reason. And it has been a weird evolution throughout my life to see all the strange places that I have been at the right place at the right time to experience something important that plays back into this big decision that I have made with my life here in the last couple of months. But it has been, well, it has been painful. It has been wonderful because I have had amazing experiences along the way. I am currently running for president in 2020 as a Democrat. Okay. I launched a write-in campaign in 2016. While it was unsuccessful, it was very educational. One of the things that I do support, and it is very controversial, is the death penalty for pedophiles.
Okay, let's talk about that.
I don't support mandatory sentencing for any crime. Okay. I think that victims should have a say in sentencing. I just think death should be on the table.
Okay.
I think we need to revoke the statute of limitations on all sex-related crimes and give adult survivors of sexual abuse an opportunity to punish their predators.
Well, it's funny. It's funny because this is one area where I go back and forth on, because as a follower of Jesus, on one hand, I don't believe in the death penalty because I believe in restorative justice. But at the same time, when you're talking about pedophilia, my experience has been with sexual abusers, and this is going to really be controversial, but my listeners know I shoot from the hip. I've never seen any type of treatment work to solve pedophilia. What I found is that the perpetrator gets more and more clever in how to hide what they're doing so they don't get caught as often. And so that's why I go back and forth on that one. So I'm real honest with my listeners that while in most cases I'm not for a death penalty, my jury's out on sexual predators, particularly pedophiles, because of the fact children don't have a choice in this.
No, and if they survive, it stays with them for the rest of their life. Yes. And it impacts their ability to be, productive members of society. It impacts their ability to work, to provide for their family. There's a long list of financial justifications I can make for ending pedophilia. But what it comes down to is, for me, this is one of the most vile crimes that's ever existed in the history of humanity.
Sure.
And we have an opportunity right now to address it and get tough on it. We hear all these politicians talking about getting tough on crime, but nobody ever wants to get tough on rapists. And it is time for us to connect those dots.
Sure.
There's a lot of people who are against the death penalty in any circumstances And I certainly think that we have the opportunity to reevaluate our criminal justice system and clean up some messes that are existing there. We have people who are sitting in jail who don't belong there. We have a lot of opportunities to clean up the mess that exists within our prison systems. But we have to do something to get tough on these pedophiles.
Well, first of all, we have two sets of justice systems that I found. There's the justice for those who have a lot of money, and then there's justice for the rest of us. And I think back of a case that happened last few years here in California, where this kid going to Ivy League school who raped a girl while she was passed out, and the judge gave him 6 months with time already served because he didn't want to interfere with this young man's potential. Needless to say, he was white and very rich. I am glad to say that the people went out and did a recall on him, and the judge lost his job. And there was other justice that said, oh, this is terrible because people are going to start voting laws. Well, we're supposed to vote laws. It's called a democracy.
Exactly. And it can't be a government of the people and by the people and for the people until the people participate in the process.
Right. And we don't have a whole lot of that right now. You know, you might have heard during the opening that I was talking about with Justice Kavanaugh that I'm really disappointed in what Congress is doing right now, and the fact that they're not doing the FBI investigation of this. It's not a criminal investigation. It's a background check. I have friends who are former law enforcement that do these background checks, and they're denying this lady due process. They're also denying the judge due process, and we the people due process, because this is a lifetime appointment. And
we're going to be paying for him and his decisions literally for the rest of our lives.
Yes.
You know, and potentially the rest of our children and grandchildren.
Yes.
And for us to be pushing him through the way that they are, at least trying to, it's certainly my hope next week his nomination disappears and somebody else is nominated. He has too many issues. He needs to go away. One of the things that we have seen consistently with the nominations and the people that Trump is surrounding himself with is that they are dangerous. The level of crimes that they are guilty of, that they're admitting to, we absolutely just do not need him putting any more Supreme Court justices in seats, or any more judges at this point in time in seats, until all the investigations are completed. We have a president right now who's an unindicted co-conspirator. He should not be able to make Supreme Court nominations. Any kind of nominations at this point in time should be limited. He needs to be censored.
Yes.
But I don't feel like any of that even has a potential of happening until November.
Yes.
And that's what scares me every day. He can do anything, really. It is amazing to see the things that the other Republicans that are elected to office will allow him to get away with. Never in my lifetime did I think I would live to see this. I am old enough to remember, you know, when Russia was our enemy. There was a wonderful movie that came out in the 80s called Red Dawn, and so many young people these days only know it because it was a remake for North Korea. And they need to go back and rewatch the old Red Dawn. And it's time for us to call on our generation, my generation, the Gen Xers and the baby boomers who remember the Cold War and who remember why it was that Russians were not our friends. We need to remember, you know, we need to stick with we need to dance with who brought us to the party, and that's ourselves. We don't need to get involved with the Russians. It amazes me every day that when I hear of another elected official that has ties with Russian money, and the way the NRA is involved with them as well.
Yes. Well, speaking of time, we're at our first commercial break, and so we're going to continue this conversation just after the break, so we'll be back in 2 and 2.
The loss of a loved one is one of the most challenging experiences in a person's life. It's hard to know where to turn to make your loved one's final arrangements. Jesse Ruiz at Personal Funeral Planning in Ontario will treat you and your loved one with the respect you deserve. Jesse served in the Marine Corps in Desert Storm and understands what it takes to provide loyal, personalized, and empathetic service to those who need it most. The families of Michael Jackson, Brittany Murphy, Ed McMahon, and many others have trusted Jesse to provide them with the highest level of service and support. To work with Jesse, call 909-762-4027, 909-762-4027, or visit their website, www.4pfp.org. www.4pfp as in personalfuneralplanning.org. Jesse Ruiz and Personal Funeral Planning, veteran-owned and operated, helping you plan a personal, lasting tribute for your loved one. www.4pfp.org.
Hey, this is Andrew Caravella with an update on your community calendar for KCAA Radio. In the city of Yucaipa, the Autumn Festival is fast approaching. October 12th and 13th, come out and see all the festivities going on. Food and merchandise vendors to live music, fun competitions to a kid zone. Events are set up to take place in historic Uptown Yucaipa, and more info can be found at yucaipa.org or 909-790-7460. That's 909-790-7460. The 2018 Yucaipa Autumn Festival, October 12th and 13th in historic Uptown Yucaipa. And that's going to be a look at your community calendar right here on KCAA Radio. I'm Andrew Caravella.
If you have an event happening in your community, hit us up at kcaaradio.com and let us know. You might just hear it right here on the community calendar.
If you're still using paper business cards, stop! Savvy business owners know that printed cards are going digital. Use Savvy cards instead, and never pay to print business cards again. Savvy cards are digital business cards you share through your cell phone with literally just a few button taps. They don't require app downloads or special software to use either. And they capture the contact information of the person you share them with so you don't have to. That's like getting a free lead tracking system built right in. Savvy cards can be shared online and in person. Because they're digital, you'll never run out, and other people can use them to refer you. But best of all, there are no recurring fees. Get your Savvy card today and stop paying for business cards now. Get them at savvycard.com/radio. That's savvycard.com/radio. savvycard.com/radio.
And welcome back. You are tuned to KCAA Radio, 1050 AM, 102.3 FM, 106.5 FM, or on the World Wide Web on kcaaradio.com. This is Viewpoint with Father John, and I am your host, Father John Reed. And my guest tonight is, I can't even say your name right, Miss Smith. I'm getting it all messed up. I have these funny rented lips, and I'm getting the stutters. I think I've been hanging out out with my head out the window for too long. The wind's hitting my lips and I can't say nothing. Anyhow, so
That's okay. Let me give you an easy way to remember my name because it is a little odd and it always catches people off guard a little bit. So my name is Shamin, just like the toilet paper, only with an S.
I was trying not to do that.
Smarter. I have heard it all. You don't keep a name like this throughout your life without developing a sense of humor about it. And one of the things that Trump has really kind of messed up for Americans is our ability to commiserate together over our mutual dislike of our elected officials. We used to be able to poke fun at our president.
Yes.
We used to be able to poke fun at our elected officials, and they could take it. But Trump can dish it out, but he cannot take it. And one of the things that I think makes me unique, and part of the reason why I have had this crazy name my whole life is because it is here for a reason, and it gets people talking again. I think I can get people talking and laughing again.
Good.
And I don't mind doing it by poking a little fun at myself. And Shamin, my name, is the perfect way to do it, Just like the toilet paper, only with an S. I'm smarter, I'm stronger, I smell better than the TP, and I will clean up DC.
And you have hindsight.
Well, I got to tell you, writing this book was the most fascinating experience of my life. It had never been my mission to become an author. And when the idea of the book took over my life, because it really did just take over everything, it absorbed me. And I wrote the bulk of the book in a 2-week period during 2014.
Wow.
Where I just wrote in an almost trance-like state, and I bled 300 pages. And when I snapped out of it, St. Louis was burning because Michael Brown had been killed, and Robin Williams had committed suicide. And I packaged the book up, and I shipped it off to a publisher, and they made me an offer within 48 hours.
Wow.
And they wanted to take a full year to publish it and to edit it, and I knew it needed to be done sooner than that. So I pushed through and self-published through Amazon's Create Space platform. At the time, my husband was working for Amazon, and we published through that avenue. And I managed to publish almost 6 months to the day before Trump announced his campaign. And a lot of what I wrote played out in real life, just not the way that I wrote it. You know, I wrote this beautiful, positive story with the purpose of uniting the nation and the world behind the common cause of eradicating pedophilia. But I used a reality TV show to give Republicans a candidate capable of beating Hillary Clinton in 2016. And it just... I wrote this book with the honest belief that Republicans were good, honest, decent, caring, hardworking, compassionate people that were just poorly elected by their poorly represented by their elected officials.
Sure.
And then Trump showed up, and I realized that I was wrong.
Well, you know,
that I was very naive.
That's a very interesting point that you're making, because I have friends on both sides of the aisle, and you know, and I've kind of been in the middle, and I've worked with some. I've fought across the table with others because I've always been in social justice. Just in L.A. County, Mike Antonovich, he and I have been good friends for years, and there have been times that I've done invocations for the things he's done for veterans. There's been other times that he and I sat across the table for workers' rights and yelled at each other, then afterwards went and got lunch, because we both knew we cared about the people we served. Neither one of us questioned each other's patriotism. We both knew we loved this country. We just had a couple of different ideas on how to care for her. And so this is really kind of different for me, what we're seeing right now. And I was thinking about something that Ted Kennedy wrote in his biography, his autobiography, that he said he used to pull up in front of the Senate, and he'd get all warm and fuzzy. I'm kind of paraphrasing a little bit. He says, I look at the building, I say, I get to work there. And he would go to do the people's business, and he'd have somebody on the other side of the aisle, and they would argue and fight about stuff, and then they'd find middle ground, and then they'd go have a beer together. And he said, now everything's handled with staffers, nasty emails, nobody talks anymore. He says it's the most lonely place on earth, and they're not getting anything done because nobody talks anymore. They just throw insults at one another. And that's really a shame, because we, the people, are the ones who suffer for that. And my listeners hear me say it all the time, but I truly believe we have to get out of who's right and into what's right. And we can't do that if we're just saying either you're Republican or Democrat. We have to find middle ground. And I've never seen us so divided as we are now. I see things on Facebook that just terrify me. And people who I've loved for years and have respect for have really gone to a new level of low that I thought, how could a thinking person say such things about a fellow American? And it just tears me apart. Anyhow, I interrupted you, but you're saying then Trump came along and you saw a whole different view of this. Is that correct?
I really did. I realized that I had been a little bit too naive in regards to some of my Republican friends.
Mm-hmm.
I had to look at them for the first time in an entirely new way. And writing this book, you know, for a while I kind of sat the fence because I have always been a Democrat my whole life. And I wrote this book from a perspective of trying to pander to Republicans. As a Democrat, especially, you can certainly tell when I get to the gun rights portion where I discuss my opinion on how to bring gun the solution to the gun debate in our country. It was really an effort to try to pander towards Republicans, to try to meet someone in the middle. And so to write the book from this perspective gave me a whole different appreciation, because I put myself in their shoes, and I listened to their arguments, and I tried to debate it and tried to find middle ground. You know, everybody, you can take a personality assessment and determine if you're left brain or right brain, but I always strike even. I'm very much middle of the road. I'm swinging straight up the middle, and nobody's pitching to me. And the one thing that I have found, no matter how liberal my friends are, no matter how conservative my friends are, the one thing we almost always agree on is the death penalty for pedophiles, and it's tougher punishment for people who sexually abuse children. And even if you think back to the transgender debate that was so active just a few years ago, that was based in fear that somebody would sexually abuse children. And we're just pointing the finger at the transgenders when we really need to be addressing is the sexual predators.
Which is a whole different... Yeah, it's a whole
right.
different topic. They're not transgender people. They're not gay people. In fact, interesting enough, statistics show that most pedophiles, most victims of pedophiles, are in the same family as the pedophile, or a very trusted friend, and most of them would identify as straight.
Right. And it's mostly straight white males. It is, and it's hard to tell, to be honest with you, because this is an issue that attacks every race, every religion, every nationality, every socioeconomic part of our society. We are predominantly a white country, so is that why this is predominantly a white issue? You know, it's predominantly a male country for a long time. Is that why it's predominantly a male issue? We know there are female abusers.
Yes.
So I don't want to, focus on a specific type of person who generally commits these problems, but we need to be focusing on the people who commit these problems. Whenever we have the abortion debate, there's always the caveat for rape and for incest. So we'll give somebody an abortion for rape or for incest, but when are we going to get tough on the people who are committing the rapes and the incest? It is time for us to connect those dots and to create tougher penalties. Now, when I talk to people about the death penalty for pedophiles, I get a wide range of responses
from
people, from I don't believe in the death penalty at all, to people get really creative in the way they want to give the death penalty to pedophiles. And I they get real creative. This is the one topic of conversation that brings together 3/4 of us, more than 3/4 of us. This is the one conversation that most of us can agree on, and we can come to some sort of terms on. And it's a fundamental place. If we can agree to protect our kids, we can agree on just about anything else.
Well, sure, and we're having the problem with that again because we look for what's going to be politically expedient, not what's going to be realistic and really helpful. And that's a shame that we find ourselves in this place, because we have to look farther than that. We have to start doing something to protect the children, but also we're not protecting them there. We're also not giving them good education. We're not making sure that everybody has a meal. One of the things
we have to address the wage. I'm not even sure $15 an hour is the right number, to be 100% honest with you. As a bill collector, as a mortgage underwriter, I spent time on the phone talking to people about their budgets, looking at their debt, looking at their income, what the government says they can afford, what's available out in the marketplace. The math just does not work at $7.25 an hour. I'm not sure $15 an hour is right. One of the suggestions that I have made is a wage that's commensurate with the year. It matches the year that we're in right now. It's 2018. It's quite possible the wage that we should be looking at is $18.18 an hour, with a mandatory $1.01 raise every January the 1st. I think realistically we need to be looking at doubling the wages of teachers.
Oh,
they
absolutely,
don't get
teachers,
anywhere near enough. And we need to be thinking about not just the mentality of raising the minimum wage, but raising the median household income, that should be at least 6 figures in our country. People are still struggling when they're making $100,000 a year, and you don't want to hear that when you're making $7 an hour. That
Sure.
Nobody wants to. The reality is that people from everybody in the 99% is struggling, even if they're in the top 5%. They're frustrated with the new tax rules. Everything is so expensive, and if wealthy people who are in the top 10, top 5% are acknowledging that things are expensive for them, we have to do something to bring it up for everyone else. It's ridiculous.
Well, and also you look at our healthcare situation. A lot of people don't realize in the delivery of healthcare, we are 39th in the world. That puts us behind third world countries.
Well, what we do really well in America is that if we have one program, we think we should have 10. So we don't have socialized medicine because we have Medicaid and we have Medicare and we have TRICARE and we have the VA and we have Obamacare and we have CHIP and we have a government health care program for government employees. And everybody is paying the Medicare tax deduction out of every one of their paychecks, and maybe they live long enough to actually be able to use some of those insurance benefits. But the reality is that if we combined all of our healthcare systems, all of our programs into one, and we gave American citizens the most advantageous pricing, which would probably be the pricing that we have available for veterans,
right,
and the military services, they get the cheapest rate by far. We could spread that out, and we could provide services, healthcare services, to every American citizen now. And I don't just mean healthcare; I mean vision, dental, hearing, mental health, drug rehabilitation, and we can do it far cheaper than what they're telling us.
Well,
and we can use our tax dollars
to
pay for it.
The Koch brothers, this last year, paid for a study,
yep,
and it came out different than what they were expecting. They thought that it would show it'd be too expensive to do Medicare for all, and they found out that we would be paying half of what we're paying now, and we'd have much better health coverage, and everybody would be covered.
And there's no reason why we can't provide health care coverage to non-American citizens, immigrants who are coming to our country. We'll just bill their country of origin for the services that we provide to them. There's no reason we should be turning anybody away from health care. This is America. And it could be because I'm a Mayflower descendant, that I think of immigration from a very different perspective. I like immigrants, even the ones that bring illness and crime and diseases, because we all have something valid to offer, even if we have screwed things up in the process.
Sure.
And one of the things that makes this process so personal for me is learning that there's a genetic connection to the presidency. This is a 1,000-year battle that we have all been a party to from some royal family that just manages to survive throughout history. This is something personal for me. I feel it bubbles up inside of me that to the point where I feel like I have to do something before the people in my bloodline mess it up any more than they already have. We have a lot of opportunities in this country to fix some of the problems that we have made. We are one of the greatest countries that has ever existed, but we've done a lot of things wrong in the process, and we need to fix it before we make it even worse.
Well, we're coming up to our next break, and my guest is Shamin Smith, and when we come back from the break, we'll continue our conversation. We'll be back in 2 and 2.
The loss of a loved one is one of the most challenging experiences in a person's life. It's hard to know where to turn to make your loved one's final arrangements. Jesse Ruiz at Personal Funeral Planning in Ontario will treat you and your loved one with the respect you deserve. Jesse served in the Marine Corps in Desert Storm and understands what it takes to provide loyal, personalized, and empathetic service to those who need it most. The families of Michael Jackson, Brittany Murphy, Ed McMahon, and many others have trusted Jesse to provide them with the highest level of service and support. To work with Jesse, call 909-762-4027, 909-762-4027, or visit their website, www.4pfp.org. www.4pfp as in personal funeral planning.org. Jesse Ruiz and Personal Funeral Planning, veteran-owned and operated, helping you plan a personal, lasting tribute for your loved one. www.4pfp.org.
Every day is a great day right here at KCAA Radio. Today is September 20th. Happy Thursday. So we recognize the most popular pizza ever created. Pepperoni Pizza Day celebrates the pizza enjoyed by young and old alike. While pizza comes in many flavors, pepperoni is the single most popular pizza. Whether you like your pizza Chicago style or New York style, thin and crispy or deep dish, top it with pepperoni. See, according to legend, Rafael Esposito created the first pizza in June of 1889 in honor of the Queen of Italy, Margherita of Savoy. He created the pizza margherita, a pizza topped with tomatoes, basil, and mozzarella, which represented the colors of the Italian flag. While pizza has evolved since that time to include a multitude of toppings, from anchovies and pineapple to sausage and bacon, pepperoni remains the most popular. Italian Americans developed the ever-popular topping through time-honored sausage-making techniques. The seasoned pork and beef sausage is smoked and cured until the resulting product is ready to be sliced and placed on a delicious pie.
Hi everybody, Ray Lucia here with some important information about debt, your debt. Whether you have a first or second mortgage, you're looking to buy or refi a home or rental property, or just need to consolidate your credit cards to lower your payments and save some serious interest, you need to do some loan financial planning with Steve Alladort, my mortgage man at loanfinancialplanner.com. Now, Steve's not your garden variety mortgage broker. He actually spends time evaluating how you can use the current super competitive interest rates to pay off your mortgage early, purchase a rental property, improve your cash flow, upgrade to your dream home, or even help your kids or grandkids get into a house. That's what loan financial planning is all about. Steve's been helping me and my listeners for over 2 decades, and I can tell you he is the best finance guy in the business. Go to loanfinancialplanner.com. That's loanfinancialplanner.com, or call Steve Alladort at 888-563-1070. That's 888-563-1070.
And welcome back. You are tuned to KCAA Radio, 1050 AM, 102.3 FM, 106.5 FM, or on the World Wide Web at kcaaradio.com. This is Viewpoint with Father John, and I am your host, Father John Reed. And again, I want to remind you that this is a listener-supported program. So if you like what we're doing here, please go to www.viewpointwithfatherjohn.com and go to the support button, click it, and it does the PayPal. You could use credit card, whatever it is you want to do, and help keep us on the air. The people who have been giving, I really want to thank you, because you keep this show going. Without you, there wouldn't be me. And just real quick, next week, my guest is going to be Pat Bell with the House of Ruth, which we're going to be talking about dealing with domestic violence. It's going to be a very important program. I hope that you'll tune in for that. And I want to take a moment to thank my board operator, Nick. He just does a wonderful job. He's just been fantastic. And I like the fact I have a board operator, so if something goes wrong, I could blame Nick. And we joke back and forth. What do you think about that, Nick?
That really ought to be in my my job description, really.
Yes, if it happened, it went wrong, blame Nick.
Yeah, board operator, producer, fall guy.
That's right. That's Fall Guy.
Yeah, that's me.
He just fell out of his chair just now.
I did. Excuse me. Hold on. Okay, I'm back.
And the other very important person that's part of the show is our great producer and my beautiful wife, Gabby. And Gabby, thanks for getting me here and making sure I was well fed and that I didn't get both feet in my mouth, just one at a time. And so having said all that, I want to welcome back my guest, Shamin Smith, and let's talk a little bit about your platform. You mentioned you're running for president in 2020. What are the things you're running on? What's important to you that you think should be important to us?
Well, number one is the death penalty for pedophiles. Number 2 is health care for all. Medicare for all, not just for low-income people. We need to find a way to use Medicare tax deduction so that every citizen in the country is benefiting from Medicare. No more special rates for you based off of how much money you make or what your job title is. If you're a senator, you should have access to the same kind of health care as your constituents so that you're motivated to improve it.
Amen
we
to
need
that.
we need a flat tax rate. You know, at one point in time in our country, we had an 80% tax rate for wealthy people, which is what led us into the problem that we're in today. It was cheaper to purchase a congressman than it was to pay your taxes. And now we have a disaster that has imploded. And if you understand the tax code, you can actually make money off of your fellow citizens by not only not paying your fair share, but actually reaping the rewards of deductions and loopholes that will effectively transfer our tax money to you. And that absolutely needs to stop. We have to stop the deductions, the loopholes. Everybody needs to pay the same percentage.
Well, I think one of the things we have to do is reverse Citizens United, because that really put it into the fast lane of where our corruption is coming into the politics of things, and it really. If we had everybody doing publicly funded elections, yes,
our election cycles would be far different. Having all this private money, the massive amounts of money that are in elections, it's terrifying.
Yes.
And as a regular person, a normal 99%er like myself, I can't even begin to dream of funding a presidential campaign on my own. There's no way a normal person can do it. And it needs to be, we really have to pay attention to who's paying for what and who's paying millions of dollars so that a politician can secure a job that pays them less than $200,000 a year. There's a reason why those things are happening, and we need to not be naive about it. One of the things that I have heard so much from during this time since Trump has come forward is people know that he's crooked. They expect wealthy people to be crooked. It's okay. That needs to stop. That is not all right. It is not okay for him to be crooked and for him to do illegal things simply because he's wealthy while the rest of us foot the bill. We wouldn't tolerate that with a normal friend. There's no reason we should tolerate it from an elected official.
Well, one of the things that surprises me, and I think part of it is, and what I'm going to say is going to offend a lot of people, but, truth is truth. We've spent a lot of time dumbing down our society.
Yeah.
And it amazes me how many people don't understand civics and the three branches of government and how everything's supposed to work. And most people don't know that every time that President Trump goes to one of his hotels and stays for the weekend, he's committing a felony in the emolument clause. And and that we're paying $60,000 a weekend in golf carts. That's not an exaggeration. Look up the numbers, kids. $60,000 a weekend for golf carts for the Secret Service to follow him around, and that's all going into his pocket. That's really a problem. I don't care what side of the aisle it comes from. That's an American problem that is no good for us. And it's against the law to make a profit off the presidency. And, everything going on with Mueller, it blows me away that people think nothing's happening with this investigation. We have all these indictments. We have all these convictions. We have all these guilty pleas. Even Paul Manafort has decided to flip, and I have my own theory on that, and I'll run that by you real quick. I think he has a greater fear of Russia than he does not getting a pardon from Trump. And I think he's cooperating so that he can go into the witness protection program to save he and his family, because as soon as he gets out of all this, I think Putin's going to put an end on him. I think that's part of the reason that over the last few months you've seen these Russian poisonings over in England to send a message to Manafort and some of these other people, we're watching you. and you're not going to your longevity is not really assured. What are your thoughts on that?
There's no escaping Uncle Vlad. You know, when I wrote this book and I talked about the fact that the world is a family, all these countries are a family, and we're all connected whether we realize it or not. I referred to Vladimir Putin as Uncle Vlad, and I never in a million years expected that our country would have the type of relationship that we are going down this path towards now. I trust Putin about as far as I could throw him. And he is absolutely sending a message to people to let them know that they're being watched and that there is no escaping him. That even if they get into the witness protection program, I'm not confident that they will be safe from him.
I agree.
He's one of the most terrifying and fascinating characters in politics. And the way that Trump is enamored by him is very concerning. It's terrifying. We deserve better than this. We as Americans deserve better than this. Our soldiers who fought for our freedom, our family members who have sacrificed, all of us deserve better than what we are getting with the relationship between Trump and Putin. And it has been fascinating to me to watch the religious right, the evangelicals, because I'm a Christian. My personal relationship with my Christ and Savior is exactly that. It's my personal relationship. I try to keep it personal. But to watch the religious right come out in support of Trump, it's been shocking with all of his behaviors that they're so enamored with him. And it has forced me actually recently to go back and reread Revelations for the first time in a long time. And it's clearer to me than it has ever been. And as we move forward, I see this women's movement, the Me Too movement, and I think often of the woman of Revelation. And there was even recently a rapture warning, and it centered around the woman of Revelation. And as I see the rise of the women's movement across the world, it's not just in our country, but it's very prominent here now, I see women stepping up and stepping into their place, and they're no longer taming that titter, that inner angry voice inside of you. You know, we're standing up and we're fighting back in a way that is beautiful to watch, because really until we all start to participate in politics, we're not going to have the perfect union that we've been seeking for so long.
Well,
and I think that the women and myself in general, I'm just part of the incarnation for this lifetime to fight this battle.
Well, one of the other problems we're dealing with is our own inhumanity that we're putting out there. You know, it's been outside the news because the news cycle runs so quickly, and it's a shame it's out of the news, that a lot of people don't know. With the separation of the children at the border, which I want to remind my listeners again, these were not people crossing illegally. These were people seeking asylum. They were perfectly within the law and in our global agreement. But a lot of them don't know, at this point, 1,500 children are lost. They're unaccounted for. Our government doesn't know where they put them.
We separated small children from their parents without any intention of ever reuniting them. It is unfathomable to me that our country...
well, what gets me the most...
To know the history of our country, to know that this isn't the first time that we have done this, but to know that we are still making the same mistake, and in this vicious cycle, the way that we have done it now, it is unacceptable. It absolutely has to stop. These children have to be reunited with their parents. We have to do something about the ICE members and the members of our armed forces and our police who are sexually assaulting people, who are abusing people, who are murdering people. We have to do something about it. And even if it starts with these children and with ICE, it cannot end there. And we have to fight every day until we correct this.
Well, one of the things that saddens me, and I'm not patting my own back on this, so please don't misunderstand what I'm about to say, but I'm about the only one on the airwaves right now talking about those children still.
Yeah.
It is we have such a short attention span. And when I first got into media, I had an old journalist talking to me. We were sitting in the airport. We're both coming back from Washington, and he was talking about if it's not sexy, it doesn't make it onto the screen. If it's not sexy, it doesn't make the airwaves. And we very quickly lost our attention on these children. We have to bring the attention back. I keep asking my listeners, and I'm asking my listeners again tonight, call your members of Congress. Tell them that this is not acceptable. This is absolutely un-American. This is an American issue, not a Republican or Democrat issue. We need to find these children. We need to reunite them. The other thing we need to do, as we're coming up to our last couple of minutes here on the air, is these children in Florida who are fighting to stop the school violence, the school shootings. We haven't heard anything on that in a few weeks, not because these high school kids aren't doing anything. They're doing wonderful stuff, but it lost its being sexy, and so all the news channels dropped it just as quickly as they picked it up. And I refuse to do that as a member of the media, because I think that I owe it to the people who listen to this show to be real and to say, look, these are real issues that we have to come together as a people. Forget left and right. These are people issues. It's out of who's right and into what's right. Well, I'm down to just my very last time here, and I just want to again thank Shamin Smith for being here. I wish you luck with your race and with your book. I look forward to learning more about it, and we'll have to have you come back another time. And
Absolutely.
And for all of you who are listening this week, again, I thank you that you take the time to tune into this show. I feel honored that you allow me into your home through the airwaves, and you're really special people. I'm fortunate I have some of the smartest listeners in the world. And for those who financially support this program, I really want to thank you, because you're keeping this going so we can keep some light on at the end of this tunnel. And if nobody told you that they loved you this week, let me be the first. And again, Shamin Smith, thank you again for taking the time to share with us some of your views and some of your ideas and the path that you're walking.
Thank you so much, sir. I really appreciate your time tonight, and I wonder what a wonderful show that you do. Thank you again.
You're very welcome. And until next week, be safe and love one another.
KCAA Loma Linda, 1050 AM, 106.5 FM, and now 102.3 FM.